movie notes on The Day After Tomorrow. It's a 2004 film. This is my 13 October 2024 viewing. I watched it in the morning. I started in the morning. I was like, oh, it's early to be starting a movie. It's Sunday, 13 October 2024. I'm Tanis Coralee Leonhardi. She, her, hers of Norway and United States of America. And for this viewing, my description I came up with is a fiction film about a climatologist during the development of a superstorm, causing rapid and large changes in normal weather patterns, and him trying to get to his son, part of a group of high school / college students visiting New York City, and make sure they all survive. Yeah, so they have like this decathlon competition, and they're like, you know, people from different academies and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know if that's supposed to be like high school or college. And there's a conversation between the son and the dad in the movie about like a teacher failing him because he didn't agree or something like that. And I was just kind of like, was that a professor? Or was that like a high school teacher? Did they say professor? But did they mean that? Because then they say academy later, which like, usually like, isn't that like high school? I don't know. So my best guess on the age range there. Yeah. So if it was college, it didn't really make it clear, at least at the decathlon competition sequence. And so essentially there's this really, really big storm, and there's like a really big wave, and there's a bunch of really like normal weather patterns essentially get escalated into this like really, really big storm. And they were like, and you know, the climatologists and the scientists are kind of like, well, we told you earlier and you didn't listen back then, so now we need action, like from the politicians and stuff. I think there's I'm going to do a Top Pots donut from yesterday. My dad brought him back. He had a church group he made breakfast for. And he brought back some Top Pot donuts. So I'm going to do an old-fashioned Top Pots donut. Old-fashioned donut, Top Pots donut, as I go through this. Something with all of these, like, weather and climate movies is they rely excessively on, like, politics and the government. It's kind of like, at the end of the day, if people really want to get stuff done, stop bullying others and start doing it yourself. That's one thing. Approximately 20 years later is like, at some point people need to grow up and stop telling other people what to do and start doing stuff. Anyway, my personal perspective on that is, and it's something that frustrated me a bit in science too, was people always wanting to be like, you're wrong, to people on the other side of the political spectrum, and not ever providing a legitimate solution. I would be doing it for 30 years and I'm going, but do you really care if you're not really willing to put forward solutions and work on that, instead of pushing a certain dogma and angle that keeps renewing their piggy banks, so to speak, of, it's great, they've got funding. They decided to publish what's in line with fad science. So that's the part of it all that I kind of found frustrating. And so I was thinking about that, and like the comment about the person failing the student, the son, because of whatever reason. Now, I was thinking about my PhD in physics in Italy. Can I, you know, these, and they were even in a library in this film. They ran into the New York Public Library for safety or something. I was like, oh, this is a timely video to watch. So here's what I came up with. Student and/or students of mine during my PhD in physics in Italy. If they contact my advisor in advance of me receiving an offer, perhaps they are integrated in the offer that I received. If I receive instructions to initiate contact with them and I'm not on campus / in Italy yet, perhaps see if they want to come to the area where I am living, Seattle area, at least currently, for a week. And we can meet each day to come up with a research topic / focus / basic idea of a project and some tasks we can each do in advance of arriving on campus. We could meet each day a place to eat and or go for a walk. I cover costs. A perk of being my mentee, so being someone I mentor. Do I also cover the costs of travel and lodging like I had on my graduate school visits? So there's a question mark there. Perhaps they arrive at the institution about the same time as me to maximize the amount of research time for their project, which should be a topic separate from my dissertation. Perhaps the final product is an undergraduate thesis with me as their advisor, my advisor as part of their committee if he wants / is allowed. And perhaps additional final products is / are a peer-reviewed journal article, them as first author with me as second author, and any corresponding conference abstracts / presentations. So that was something. The other one, kind of going back to the professor or instructor or whatever failing the person. So I was like, that's a really good one. An advisor, advisee, mentor, mentee. I found that okay, is that kind of structure of a relationship. How to avoid favoritism in the classroom if one of my research mentees, students, is in one of my classes? That's a great question. Maintain a standard of having the answer key / rubric written before any assignments / quizzes / exams are turned in. Yeah, that way, how a person's mentee, advisee, student, whatever you want to call it, whatever the relationship is, what they do and put as their answers does not affect the grade of anybody else. So get the answer key / rubric written, all right, so it's done before anything gets turned in. I think that's like a golden standard in general. I think, but like, I think if golden standards are not always upheld, perhaps you make an emphasis on the, like, especially if one student's in the class, then like think for myself, right, or mentee or advisee or whatever wants to term it, is make sure to uphold it in those cases, right? That way, nope, there's no favoritism here. It was all defined before you guys had to term it in, right? Yeah, so that's what I was thinking. And then if like that becomes, if that's not the starting point, right, then be like, how do I make it consistent all the time, even if my mentee, advisee, or student isn't in the class, right? So then it just becomes habit. Or maybe it works from round one, but if it doesn't, like using the relationship to kind of improve in, like, implement a standard kind of across everything. So there we go. So that's what I was thinking. That I had noticed that before doing this. I own this video. I've watched it a lot of times. I was like, how would I do that? And I have teaching experience, including at the university level in multiple classes. So yeah, I was in grading experience, both as a grader and as a teaching assistant. So I was like, that's what I could come up with. So my movie notes on the day after tomorrow, 2004 film, 13 October 2024 viewing. And again, I was like, that's what I came up with for me. It'd be different for different people. But I think for myself, I was like, yeah, that would work for me. So there we go.